More than 50,000 people were victims of gun violence in the country last year, according to Trace.org. Over 32,000 died by firearm. Imperial County Firearms Instructor Donnie Horton says more training is needed to decrease those numbers. He shared his views as he walked me through the basics of safe gun use.
All U.S. law-abiding citizens have the right to not only own, potentially possess, with the proper documentation and the proper training, a firearm.
Horton defended the right to gun ownership.
It really gets overlooked when it comes to that Second Amendment right. It's the right to self-defense.
He says more gun laws won't stop gun violence, but says there is a need to enforce laws we already have.
Passing additional laws on top of the thousands of laws we already have do not prevent these crimes from happening.
Horton says it's taking the focus away from the real issues.
We're spending our time, our resources, without fixing the problem, because we're not focusing on the root cause.
Gun control activist John Carriatis Jr. agrees gun control laws should be enforced.
Mandatory checks have got to be increased, a waiting period extended a little bit so that you can find out exactly who it is.
Carriatis says gun ownership rights do not apply to people with criminal records.
They've lost that right to own a gun again.
He would like to see more thorough background checks.
I think you really need to have a psych eval.
Carriatis says guns should be registered and insured just like a car.
For the cost of injury, of medical, and all of that. Why don't we require the same thing for a gun?
Border Tactical Indoor Range owner Bill Dubois says everyone buying a gun with him goes through a federal background check.
They have 10 days in which to finish the background investigation.
Dubois offers a firearm safety training certificate course for all gun buyers.
There's also a requirement for a firearm safety certificate.
He says this applies to online purchases as well.
It's against the law for you to receive a firearm yourself. In California, you must receive the firearm through a licensed dealer.
It also applies to one-on-one purchases.
It's the same way if your buddy down the street or your cousin wants to sell you his old gun. You both have to come to the firearm store with the firearm.
Dubois says background checks are just common sense.
There's a fine line between infringing on your Second Amendment rights and just doing a background check to make sure you're okay.
But he's strongly against registering one's personal firearms.
Why does the government need to know what I own? Unless they're going to come get it someday.
These three men may differ on some issues, but one point where all seem to agree is on being a responsible gun owner.
Register their firearms perhaps with an insurance company in case they got stolen. Or you want to keep your own records of your firearm serial numbers and so forth.
Reporting in Imperial Valley, I'm Roy Durantes.